All right, it's time again. Time for another solo overnight in the woods. And as you can see, there's snow on the ground. So let's get to it. Welcome to Corporals Winter Wonderland. And yes, I'm still sick. However, I'm getting better, so bear with me. Now, it's 2025, and I mentioned the videos are going to be different. This is a two-part video, but not two parts as in part one today and part two next week. I found in doing that, most can't seem to watch, and they wait till part two. Meanwhile, part one goes unwatched, so it's just a big waste of time. So I'm going to give you 2 for 1. The first part of this video is going to be me in the shop, and we're going to repair an axe. I lent my axe out, and it was damaged, so I told them, finish breaking it so I can repair it. Did that for 2 reasons. 1, because I've never done that in a video before, and 2, because I want to show you how easy it actually is doing it the proper way. Now, once that's repaired, we're going to meet right back here, and we're going to do an overnighter. So here are my thoughts. I looked back and I sat there for a good exhausting probably 2 or 3 hours, about 3 hours. Let's just say 2 hours and change, looking at survival stories. And you always want to go back to the roots. You hear myths and legends and this, that, and the other, and people tell you, well, you might have to do this. In a pinch, you got to do that. You should be able to do this. But you ask the question, why? Why do I need to do that when I have this? So let's backtrack. Looking through all the survival stories that I could find in the last 100 years, not one of them required somebody to take a broken axe and go out, find hickory or maple, and cut it down with a saw that they had. Keep in mind now they have to have a saw to cut the piece. And then some type of pocket knife, jackknife, full tang knife to carve it out properly, and then place it into the axe head, and then make a wedge, etc., etc. We're talking locating a tree, going through all of that, 4 to 6 hours max, okay? 4 to 6 hours if you know what you're doing or have a half-assed idea of what you're doing. So then I asked the question, why do you need to do that? What is so detrimental out in the woods or in the field that you have to do that? To me, it'd be life or death. Now, in all those stories, I couldn't find one story that as it was told, it was life or death. They had to repair an axe or repair a hatchet. Not one. Now, maybe in the 1860s, you're out there with Cullen Bohannon, it's hell on wheels, and you got to get these pieces cut and moved to lay that track. Okay, cool. We're talking 1900s to 2000s. There's not one instance that I can think of, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, where it is life or death that requires you to repair an axe or a hatchet out in the woods. Now, the same mindset, if you're carrying an axe, you most likely have the proper gear with you, meaning a knife, a shelter system, blanket, some type of saw, folding saw, etc., etc. So where am I going with this? In my mind now, asking those questions and diagnosing it properly, there's only 2 conclusions I could come to of why you'd want to do this in the woods. Number 1, you forged out of an iron bloom or a piece of steel, you made an axe head or a hatchet or a tomahawk. You made that yourself. In my opinion, you should now go out and select the wood, make sure it's cured properly, stain it or linseed oil, whatever you choose to do, put it on there, do it properly. That becomes a piece of artwork, something you created from the landscape, and something that you can be proud of and use, for the next 20 years till it breaks again. And that's number 1 in my opinion. You should go do that, okay? The second instance is go out there and see how long it would actually take. And somebody with very little to no skill, or they saw it on a YouTube video, they just did it in a class once, you're going to have no skill set to actually go out there, and you're going to see it's going to be 6 to 8 hours of frustration. And when you're done, you're going to have some lump of wood that resembles a handle that's half-assed at best for you to just take home and do it the proper way. Most people fall into 2 categories. The axe head's going to break off, and they're going to go home and either throw it away, yes, people do that, and buy a new one, or 2, you're going to call the company and get a repair kit. And that's what we're going to deal with today. Because my opinion, again, there's no reason why I want to screw around for 6 to 8 hours out in the woods. I've done it in the past. no need to do it again, to just go home and remove the whole thing and order a kit. So on that note, let's check out the kit. Instructions. Now, this is very important because a lot of companies do things differently. On the hardcore hammers, they require 2 pins. Some people, on their axes, they require 1. So what I always tell individuals, that's cool, you know this, or so-and-so said that, or you did this over there. Always replace something or repair it per their manufacturer's recommendations. That way, if something goes wrong, you follow them accurately and they can replace it for free. Versus you just wheel and deal and make it up as you go, break it, and then now you're out 2 of them. Make sense? On that note, let's go ahead and get started. Just like that. Now option 2, toss it into the fire and burn the wood out. The problem I have with that is, no, not the temper. In modern times, whether the axe head is cast or forged, it's going to take a lot to ruin that temper. I just don't want to have a hot axe head. Plus, we have all this black on here. Probably burn it off. I don't want to ruin it, and I don't want to mess around with a hot piece of steel. I got to go cool down and mess around with it. Simple, what was that, 3/16 drill bit. Drill several holes in it, and then just tap it out, and it falls right out every time. And honestly, it can't get much simpler than that. It took longer to film it and actually explain it than physically doing it. So keep that in mind. If you're interested in the logoed version of the Hardcore Hammers Camp Companion, that link is in my video description box. Click on it, check it out. These kits are also available. Now on that note, I'm going to grab all my stuff and we're going to head to the woods. Most of the time when you go out, you're going to have some type of pocket knife, jackknife, some type of saw, or even a full tang knife. Now, unless you have 1, 2, 3, or a combination of these items, you're probably not going to have the tools or the ability to cut material for a handle, carve that material, and you're certainly not going to pound pins in with a rock or smash another log against the pins hoping they go all the way in. So my point is, you'll be doing it half-assed or less than half-assed at best, just to go home and do the 1 or 2 things. Throw it away, buy a new one, or order the repair kit. So moral of the story, don't wheel and deal, do it right the first time. With that in mind, let's get to our shelter. So it's not too deep, it's about 2 inches. There's the ground right there. And there's our footprint. This is big enough to facilitate 1 of 3 types of shelters, either a plow point, A-frame, or a lean-to. And we'll decide here in a minute which one we're going to actually place in this area. Fire can go out there. But I want to make it perfectly clear. Someone's going to say, well, you're right, I wouldn't take a rock and drive pins in. I can make a mallet, or I can make a maul. You could, but think about everything you think you can make. You're going to add 2 to 3 hours on top of the 4 to 6 hours to locate material, carve that material, actually fasten that material. So now you're talking a 10-hour day of screwing around to repair a hatchet or an axe. But here's the $1,000,000 question. If you're carrying a folding saw or some type of saw, a pocket knife or a full-tang knife, in addition to that, is a small hatchet or camp axe that necessary? Again, the proper way to do it, get a kit and do it when you get home. Now the downside to all of this is you see the wood there, it's encased in the snow, and it's about 30 degrees, 32 degrees with the wind blowing. So the snow is melting, which means the wood is all wet. And you can see that right here. So that means that that log is soaked all the way through. Not a good choice to start a fire. Now for several years we've taught the 5 W's of shelter selection: wind, water, wood, wildlife or wigglies, and widowmakers. A widowmaker is where a tree breaks loose and falls diagonally against another tree, and at some point it could break loose, fall, and crush you in the night, right? Making your significant other a widow. So, not cool. But, being that we have snow on the ground, and I just showed you the wood was covered, it's saturated, it's not a good choice for long-term burning unless you dry it out. I want a fire right now. So, how my mind works is everything here is coated. Why not locate some widowmakers that aren't coated, that been out in the wind, hasn't rained in days, hasn't snowed in days, possibly they're dried out. Cut them, and we'll use those to burn. So simply walking out of the tree line, we have exactly what I talked about right here in front of me. No snow on it at all, bone dry and rotted. So all I gotta do is get the axe, give it a few whacks, maybe saw the bottom of it, let it break in half, drop it. Then I can process it out into 4 foot, 5 foot pieces. I'm in a t-shirt. It's probably about 70 degrees Fahrenheit right here. And it's about 29 outside and dropping. So long fire worked out. We're trapping that heat. We're in that heat bubble. And this was what we were going for. And it's working out well. Now I'm going to answer a question I've asked several times about my cup and bottle sets. Am I going to bring those back? And here's the answer. I don't know yet. There's a lot of red tape with that. And, you know, I'm on a different path right now. But, I mean, and people have gone as far as telling me that it's hypocritical because they're made in China and you're doing made in America and you're telling everybody and you're letting everybody know. Well, I never once said I'm going to only sell made in America products. I made it a point in the very beginning to be honest and tell you where my cup and bottle sets came from. And that was China. And I said that up front day one. And I also said day one out of the gate, my skillets, I wanted those to be made in America. Use American steel, made by an American, yours truly. And so those clearly were stated. So to me, that's not hypocritical. That's being honest. Hypocritical would be somebody who, say, scopes the internet and finds gear that's 50, 60, 70 years old that most have forgotten about, get it, ship it overseas to, say, China or some other foreign country, have it copied there for cheap, bring it back to the States, reintroduce it into our system and claim that you invented it or R&D'd it for 2 years. That would be hypocritical. And if it happens 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20 times over a decade, that's called a pattern. And just like most nesting cups, it sits on a long fire. Alright, so it's that part of the video with the Etsy store is open. Once again, my Etsy store is open. And what do we have today? We have 100 Corporals Corner skillets dropping right now. We have the most popular Corporals Corner folding skillet. Check that out. Boom. We have my personal favorite, the Corporals Corner Cowboy skillet. Look at that seasoning, baby. Love this thing. And last but not least, we have the Corporals Corner Frontier skillet. With a pipe nub, simply add a stick. It's a space saver from hell. Now, real quick, because I've been asked several times, I'm going to go ahead and keep running the Cowboy skillet and the Frontier skillet for a couple more weeks. In about 2 weeks, I have to stop these to make room for something else. I'm going to go ahead and push back my plans. We'll go ahead and run these for 2 more weeks. Once these are done, we're going to put something else in there that you guys are going to love. So, real quick, if you want one of these, either the Frontier skillet or the Cowboy skillet, get them now. That brings me to the Campcraft Outdoors Corporals Corner skillet bag. That link is also found in my video description box. Simply go there, see Campcraft, click on it, takes you right to the bags. You can see my Etsy store, click on it, it's going to take you right to the skillets and patches. The patches are for a backpack, a hat, or the skillet bag. Here's the reality. We're next to that fire. It's like 70 degrees right here. This is nice. So we have Santa Fe breakfast taco. Never had this before, so you're watching it right now. Got eggs in there. That's actually pretty good. In fact, this would be nice to just mix it up and put it inside some tortillas. We have eggs, beef, cheddar cheese, blah, 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 milk, and everything else in there, but the main ingredients say freeze-dried eggs, beef, and cheddar cheese. So, yeah, it's actually pretty good. That's really good. Get some Tabasco sauce in there, a couple tortillas. Get you all in a few. So we're talking about right there. Still in a t-shirt. Can't see my breath at all. It's nice and warm right here. Love this. Okay, so last thing I want to discuss before lights out is those that keep asking and asking and asking. I keep telling you and telling you and telling you. I'm going to be teaching classes. So those that are waiting to train with me, March, April, and May, we're going to give classes out here in Chesapeake, Ohio. Myself, Jake Trent from Buckeye Bushcraft, EJ Snyder from Dual Survival, and most importantly, Naked and Afraid. He's also a published author. And then Kenny Dietrich of Ugly Tent. We're going to be hosting 3 classes over a 3-month period. The maximum we can take legally is 40 individuals. And half the classes are booked up right now. So if I were you and you want to train, get on there. If it's full, message me and I'll make room for you. It's going to be round robin type classes. No stress except the stress that you create. I'm not a fan of a beat down in the woods for an 18 or 20 hour day, just wheeling and dealing. We have a curriculum, we're going to stick to it, and we're going to have 4 instructors with groups of 10, and we're going to rotate every hour, hour and a half, and get you through all the material. So if you're interested in something like that, in training with me and those other individuals, check us out. uglytent.com. That link is also found in my video description box. Man, how to die in the woods. Tell you what, like I said, I'm still sick. On that note, I'm going to go ahead and end this off. My night's going to be just loading this thing up with wood and staying warm. We've already proven that fire that size, that heat bubble is going to be over here, and I'll be good to go. We repaired an axe. We went ahead and dropped the skillets. We gave you a quick configuration. Now just keep in mind on that shelter, the lower you set your plow point, the wider it's going to be. So I'm 6'1", and you saw that I could lay inside there right in front of the shelter. So if I drop it down an extra foot, it's going to be down here, and I can roll into it, but I can lay in there horizontally and have all my gear and be 100% comfortable in front of this fire. So something to think about. And the most important thing is you can find dry wood in the snow. It's above ground, And we used what? Widowmakers. So anyway, something to think about, something different. And, you know, like I said, I'm going to start gearing my videos in this direction. On that note, let's go ahead and get out of here. All the gear in my videos can be found in 2 places. 1, my Amazon affiliate page, and 2, my Etsy store. Both links are found inside my video description box. Now please do me that favor. Hit that like and subscribe button, then ring that notification bell. Once you ring that bell, please select all notifications. As always, thank you for your comments, views, and support. Thanks for watching. Get out in the field, have some fun. I'm going to catch you next time.